Glenn Greenwald is an independent journalist. His work is on Substack. He joins us tonight. I should say to our audience, we have not talked about this. I have no idea what your views are on this. I was talking to my producers 2 hours ago. Let's just get Glenn Greenwald. He's smart. Maybe he'll know what the hell's going on. Because I don't, but something is. What do you think is happening?
Well, first of all, on the question of Biden's capabilities, I think it's worth recalling that throughout 2019, leading Democrats were the ones on that station, on MSNBC, in the press, who were constantly warning that Biden's cognitive decline was obvious because they were worried he would get the nomination and not be able to withstand the rigors of the election. And he was lucky that the pandemic happened and he was able to hide in his basement. So that has been a narrative that came from the Democratic Party, and obviously it's worsened over the last 2 years. But I actually think that one of the things that's going on here is obviously the corporate wing of the media, the liberal corporate wing, is liberal. They're attached to the Democratic Party, but with one exception, which is they really do believe constantly in militarism and war. Their closest relationships in the media are with the CIA, are with the Pentagon, are with the national security state. They constantly cheer for war. They constantly want more war. And I think that they don't care about things like crises at the border or inflation or joblessness, none of which affects them. I do think, though, that they're deeply offended when they see America greatness as they perceive it falling and failing. And these kinds of images are ones Americans are not accustomed to seeing, losing to what is essentially a primitive fighting force in the most humiliating manner possible. So I think that it offends their ideology, which believes in militarism, which constantly cheers for war. And I think they're being told by a lot of their sources in the military, in the CIA, who they revered the most and who did not want withdrawal. Remember, Tucker, when Trump tried to withdraw from Afghanistan, the CIA invented a lie that Russians had placed bounties on the heads of American soldiers and leaked it to the New York Times to prevent Trump from leaving. A lot of official Washington doesn't want this withdrawal, and they didn't want it with Trump. They didn't want it with Biden, and I think a lot of the anger is coming from that.
So I was fervently in favor of withdrawing. I'm grateful that we did withdraw. I'm just offended by the incompetence and the humiliation that accompanied it. What you're saying is that we imagined CNN was controlled by the DNC. In fact, it's controlled by the CIA.
Exactly. And I mean, they're certainly, the two are kind of the same usually, right? I mean, over the past 5 years, there's been a merger between the Democratic Party and the CIA. If you look at polling, Democratic voters revere the CIA, revere the FBI. It's Republicans who are skeptical of the deep state as a result of the Trump years. But I do think that's part of it. But I also think, and this is key, is that the Biden plan to withdraw from Afghanistan was founded and based in a lie from the beginning, which is he kept saying that the Afghan National Security Forces were strong enough to withstand the Taliban attack and would hold them off, and that it would be almost impossible for the Taliban to take over the whole country. Had he been truthful with the American people that once we withdrew, the Taliban would take over, I think the reaction would have been a lot different. I think they believed him and they feel betrayed as well by what they told him.
I completely agree with that. He said the other day in an interview with ABC, he says, it's ugly when you leave. And I think most, including me, I would buy that completely. It was the lying that was so infuriating. It's interesting, though. I mean, I've never, and you've covered politics at least as long as I have, I've never seen like a cabinet secretary or his spokesman contradict the president on something meaningful like this repeatedly. What is that?
You know, I mean, look, a lot of this is speculative, right? We don't have access to Biden's medical records. We're not able to examine him. We're not competent medical or psychological professionals. But if you look at Joe Biden, I don't believe anyone who says that they don't see clear signs of cognitive decline. I see the discomfort in the faces of Kamala Harris and Secretary Blinken when they're standing behind him. Everything that he says seems very fragile. It's almost like you can see the levers of his brain kind of slowing down and not really working well. And so half the time that he says stuff, it's left to the rest of the administration to go and clean it up. I find it uncomfortable to watch the President of the United States speak. And of course, his own aides feel the same way.
Yeah, I disagree with him, of course. But I feel sorry for him every time I see him. So I'm just being honest. I feel sorry for him every single time because it's awful to watch.
It's like elder
I appreciate
abuse.
That's how it feels to me. And his family knew. That's true. It's not speculation. That's true. And I don't know why this was allowed to happen. Glenn Greenwald, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tucker.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.